Something that, alhamdulillah, we have been blessed with. Continuing on with that stream of knowledge, with the book from Shaykh Abdullah, Collection of Goodness, we reached to lesson number 50, so we're almost at the end of the book. And this lesson in particular is about how to slaughter and the prohibition of eating al-mayta. So alhamdulillah, this lesson was given by the Hafiz, the scholar of Islamic law, Shaykh Abdullah, the son of Muhammad al-Abdari. May Allah have mercy upon him, on the 26th of Rabi'un al-Awwal in the year 1398 after the Hijrah. It clarifies how to slaughter and clarifies the prohibition of eating the animal that was not slaughtered according to Islamic rules. This lesson was heard by Shaykh Nizar, the son of Rashid al-Halabi. May Allah have mercy upon him. Shaykh Samir, the son of Sami al-Qadi, and Shaykh Nabil, the son of Muhammad al-Sharif, Hafidhahumullah ta'ala. Whoever has the book, we're on page 249. Shaykh Abdullah, may Allah have vast mercy upon him, said, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. To him belong the endowments and proper commendations. May Allah raise the rank of our Master Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and his Muslim relatives and protect his nation from that which the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam fears for it. Thereafter, the best words are what was revealed in the Book of God, and the best path is the path of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So, the best words are what is in the Quran, the Book of God, the Quran. And the best path is the path of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And whatever Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and his lifestyle, how he spoke, what he did, all the things that all his habits, that's the best path. So the one who wants to be perfect or wants to be ideal, basically he just has to follow in the footsteps of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And among the worst of matters are the newly invented matters that do not comply with the Quran and the Hadith. And every newly invented matter is an innovation, and most innovations are innovations of misguidance. So the Shaykh rahimahullah, he started off by mentioning this general information, which is that the best words are what is revealed in the Quran, the best path, the best way, the best methodology is the methodology of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and every newly invented matter is an innovation, it's called an innovation, and most innovations are innovations of misguidance. This is something that it's a rule in the religion. So the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned that. Then he mentions the ayah. Allah revealed in Surah Al-Ma'idah, حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَةُ وَالدَّمُ وَلَحْمُ الْخِنْزِيرِ وَمَا أُهِلَّ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ بِهِ وَالْمُنْخَنِقَةُ وَالْمَوْقُوذَةُ وَالْمُتَرَدِّيَةُ وَالنَّطِيحَةُ وما أكل السبع إلا ما ذكيتم وما ذبح على النصب وأن تستقسموا بالأزلام ذلكم فسق. Allah mentioned in this verse the prohibition of 11 things. So in this ayah, 11 things are mentioned that are explicitly forbidden. The first of them is mayta. So the first thing that's mentioned in this list of 11 is called the mayta. What is the mayta? The mayta is the animal that died without being slaughtered according to the rules of the religion. Like if it died from a sickness or from being slaughtered by someone whose slaughter is not valid, like the Majusi, the fire worshipper, the apostate, the ex-Muslim, the Durzi, the one who follows this religion that is known in some places of the Levant, in Asham, like in Syria and Lebanon, They are strange people, and they claim to say La ilaha illallah, and they have a lot of weird things. They have some idolatry, but they're called Durzi, or the Buddhist. So if a fire worshipper, or an ex-Muslim, or a Durzi, or a Buddhist, if they slaughter an animal that is Islamically edible, it's not halal for us to eat it. Even if they slaughtered the way the Muslim slaughters, by cutting the esophagus, that is the windpipe, and by cutting the trachea, that is the food and drink pipe. And even if they said the name of God and said Allahu Akbar, their slaughter is not valid. As for the Jew and the Christian, their slaughter is permissible to eat, because these two, even though they are not Muslims, Allah made their slaughter permissible for us to eat if they slaughter according to the Islamic rules. The Muslim woman and the Jewess and the Christian woman, if they slaughter, their slaughter is permissible to eat. Likewise is the slaughter of the child who is under the age of pubescence, if he was able to slaughter properly. So keep in mind here, we're talking about slaughtering. And we defined what it is. It's simple. It's only two things. It's cutting the food pipe and cutting the windpipe. The food pipe is called the trachea, and the windpipe is called the esophagus. And there's two pipes or channels that one of them the air goes through, and the other one the food and the drink go through it. So the one that the air goes through is the esophagus, and the one that the food and the drink goes to is called the trachea. So in order for the cow or the sheep or the camel or the chicken or any animal that Islamically we're allowed to eat, in order for that meat to be halal, only those two things have to be cut. By who? By a Muslim, a Christian, or a Jew. Nobody else. So it can't be someone who used to be Muslim and who now is not Muslim. It can't be a Buddhist. It can't be an atheist. It can't be a fire worshiper. It can't be a Hindu. It has to be only those three. Either a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim. And he's going to talk about the details about the Christian and the Jew. It's a condition for the Christian and the Jew that they don't do it in the name of someone other than Allah. So if the Christian says, in the name of Jesus, and he slaughters the cow, this meat is haram. No.
The object has to be sharp, right?
Yeah, it's going to mention the conditions. So it has to be with something sharp, whatever it may be, except bone or nails. So if somebody gets like a bone and they sharpen it, they can't use it for slaughtering. If they get the nail and they sharpen it, like the nails of an animal, and they sharpen it, they can't use it for cutting. It has to be something sharp. Could be like a knife made from metal, or it could be like a very, very sharp rock. You can use it to cut. So that's what has to be cut. That's the way to slaughter properly. It says the Jew and the Christian, even if they did not mention the name of Allah, their slaughter is permissible to eat. So even if the Christian or the Jew, they don't say Bismillah when they slaughter, they don't say it, it's halal to eat. That's for the Christian and the Jew. As for the Muslim, if he mentions the name of Allah, then this slaughter is permissible to eat by consensus, yani by ijma'. So no scholar disagreed about that. The Muslim who slaughters the animal and he says Bismillah when he cuts it, according to all the Imams, this is halal. If he left out mentioning the name of Allah on purpose, now we have a detail. If he left out saying the name of Allah on purpose, the Muslim, Abu Hanifa, Ahmad, and Malik, they said that slaughter is not permissible to eat, yani it's not halal. And if it was left out absent-mindedly, then the slaughter is permissible to eat. So, according to Imam Abu Hanifa, according to Imam Ahmad, according to Imam Malik, the Muslim, if he doesn't say the name of Allah on purpose when slaughtering, then that meat is not halal. But if he forgot, so that Muslim he was going to slaughter and he wanted to say it, but he forgot to say it, in that case, according to Abu Hanifa, Ahmad and Malik, it's halal. Clear on that detail? طيب. As for Imam al-Shafi'i, may Allah raise his rank, he said that the slaughter of the Muslim, whether he mentions the name of Allah or not, it is permissible to eat, even if he leaves out mentioning the name of Allah on purpose. So alhamdulillah, our Imam al-Shafi'i, radiyallahu anhu, he said, it's not a condition for the slaughter to be halal that the Muslim says the name of Allah. So according to a Shafi'i, it's recommended. It's something that is good to do, but if the Muslim on purpose doesn't say the name of Allah when he slaughters, he says, and a Shafi'i says, it's still halal. Abu Hanifa, Ahmad and Malik, they said if the Muslim leaves it out on purpose, it's not halal. But if he forgets, it's halal. Alhamdulillah. The Muslim, now here the Shaykh talks about a different case. He said, the Muslim, the Jew and the Christian, if they press the button on a machine that cuts the neck of the animal, and so it descends and cuts it, this slaughter is permissible to eat. It would be like the one which is slaughtered with a knife. If the machine cuts the neck of the cow, or other than the cow, automatically, when the animal enters it, then this animal is a mayta. It is not permissible to eat. So here we have a very clear case. A Muslim, let's say he builds a machine. He has this machine, and this could be $1 billion idea for free. Here you go. Or anyone who wants to make it work, we have the idea, and then we can make it work, with investing and funding and things like that, and we can make money. It'll be patented. So you have this machine where you can put 100 chickens, 100 chickens, or 1,000, however many you want, right? Depending on the machine.
100 seems good.
100 seems good, right? 100 chickens, you put them down. You lie them down, okay? They're stable, they're alive. And then you have this machine where you press the button one time, and then let's say the blade falls down and it cuts off all the chickens' heads. Like a guillotine. So we can envision it. It could be one long line, or you can have rows, more than one blade, but that blade cuts by the action of that one button. So if a Muslim does press that button, and those blades they cut because that Muslim pressed that button one time, all of those chickens would be halal. Because they were cut by the action of a Muslim. Now, and that's halal. That's what the Shaykh is talking about. If a Muslim presses the button and the machine cuts one time, and that animal, let's say, is cut. In this case, he gave the example like of a cow. If you press the button and then the machine comes and cuts his neck, like the trachea and the esophagus, then this is halal.
You mean by one press?
One press.
All the blade
At one
on
time.
top of each chicken all together.
Exactly.
At the same time.
At the same time. Mesh. This is understood. Now, what's the other case that the Shaykh said? He said, if there was a machine, which there is, if the cow, right, they have the cow, they make him walk. The cow walks, and then the cow steps on the platform, or whatever the machine is, and because of his weight, that when the cow steps on the machine, then let's say a blade comes up and cuts his neck, this would not be halal. This would be mayta. Because this cutting did not happen by the action or the hand of a Muslim, a Jew, or a Christian. So this would not be halal. What's another scenario where it would not be halal? If they press the button one time, and now, instead of it being a bunch of chickens cut at the same time by one blade or numerous blades, but it's by one pressing, now it's one got cut by the pressing because the machine is now on, but now because of electricity running, the machine keeps going, and each other chicken gets cut after that. Because of what? Because of the electricity running, and not because of the action of a Muslim. So those chickens that get cut after the first one are all haram to eat. They're all mayta.
The initial.
The first one is halal. Yeah. Because it was done by the action of a Muslim. Now when the electricity is running and running, the machine is going and going, those other chickens are slaughtered, but not by the action of a Muslim. So in this case, they are mayta. Now what happens after that, during processing, that first one that's halal gets mixed together with those others that are not halal in a way that you can't tell which one is the halal one. So now you have doubt about all of those chickens, if it is slaughtered or not. Because one is slaughtered, but the rest are not. And so they're mixed together and you can't tell which one it is. So that makes it so all of those chickens are forbidden to eat. Why? Because there's doubt. So what's the rule when it comes to the meat? It's a very simple rule. If you see, let's say, if you see a sheep, right, walking down the street, can you go to that sheep and start eating it and bite it and eat its meat? No. Because in order for you to be able to eat it, and Allah Ta'ala judged that in order for you to be able to eat that meat, something has to happen first. What's that? The slaughter. How is it? Cutting the esophagus and the trachea, the windpipe and the food pipe, with something sharp, that like a knife, that's not made out of bone or nails, and that's done by a Muslim, Christian, or Jew. Those are the conditions. And according to Ahmad, Abu Hanifa, and Imam Malik, the name of Allah has to be mentioned. So, if that thing has not happened, then it won't be halal to eat. And if we're not sure if that thing happened yet, we won't be allowed to eat it. That's the issue with the doubt. That's the issue with not knowing. It's another example that is given, that the scholars give, is like the woman. Can you go to the woman and touch her, and that's not your wife, and touch her and kiss her and have intercourse with her? No. Something has to happen first. What is that? Marriage. The marriage. So until the marriage contract happens, you can't touch her, you can't kiss her, you can't have intercourse with her. After it happens, then you can do it. So if you're not sure did it happen yet or not, you can't do any of that. So same thing with the chicken. Same thing with the beef. Same thing with the lamb. Before you put it in your mouth and eat it and swallow it, you have to be sure that the slaughter happened. Because that's the only way that you will be allowed to eat it and chew it. So that's why the doubt makes it haram for you to eat it. So when we go to Publix and we see the beef and the chicken and we pick it up and you look at it, can that chicken or beef tell you that they were slaughtered by a Muslim, Christian, or a Jew and that their esophagus or trachea was cut? No. So you go to the guy working in Publix. Hey, this meat right here, was it slaughtered? Was the trachea and esophagus, was it cut by a Christian, Muslim, or a Jew? He's going to look at you like you came from, someone might say, another planet. Because he's not going to know for sure. So then that means that chicken or beef, you can't put it in your mouth and swallow it. Because you're not sure if it was slaughtered or not. The thing that makes it halal for you to do that, you're not sure if it happened, so you can't do it. That's the rule. What if it says written on it halal? Is that a proper way of knowing for sure? Can you be sure that that's the case? in the age of ignorance and scammers, where people, they sell dog meat to make $1 and pretend that it's lamb or sheep or whatever? No, it's not enough just if it says halal. It's not enough just if it says halal. You have to be sure. How are you sure? Either you cut it yourself, or the person who's selling you the meat, they cut it themselves and they told you that they cut the esophagus and the trachea, and you believe them. That's the only way. This is the reason why doubt affects. Now, the author said, as for the one who was a Muslim, but apostatized to Judaism or Christianity, his slaughter is forbidden. So if someone was originally Muslim, but then they left Islam to become a Christian or a Jew, it doesn't, if they slaughter the animal, it doesn't apply to them, because they're an apostate. Because we said the Christian or the Jew or the Muslim, that if they slaughter, we can eat what they slaughter. So if someone used to be Muslim and then they changed to Christianity or Judaism, does their slaughter count? No, it doesn't count. And also another thing too, to touch on this, we live in a country, people claim it's a Christian country, but it's really not. It's more like an atheist country. It's a secular country. They say that the church and the state are separated. They might claim to be Christian, but in reality they don't follow that. But that doesn't mean that you can eat a Big Mac from McDonald's. No, it doesn't mean that. Because let's say, even if it was like a Christian country, still, we have to know, did that meat get slaughtered or not? That's all it comes down to. And when you go to McDonald's, first of all, you can't even be sure that that's meat, actually. But second thing is, for sure, you're not going to be sure if it was slaughtered or not. So that's why it's haram to eat McDonald's and Burger King and all that stuff, the meat from it. It is not permissible for the Muslim to eat meat wherever he finds it without knowing that it was slaughtered according to Islamic rules. And there is no necessity to eating it. He has to know that it was slaughtered according to the Islamic rules, except if he's in an emergency situation. He's going to mention it. While being able to find lawful fish and vegetables. The person can't say, I really like eating beef and steak and lamb, and I really, really want to eat it, so that's an excuse for me to eat it without making sure it's halal. No, it doesn't work like that. One time a person, they said, I'm a college student, I have classes, and I get really hungry during the day, and my schedule, the closest thing to me is a McDonald's. Is that enough for me to go eat? I told that person no, because for example, if you even wait till you get home to eat what your mom bought that's halal, you're not going to die from it. So it's not an emergency situation. And on top of that, there's so many other things that you can eat besides meat that would help your body survive. So it just came down for that person, just what tastes good or what feels good. But so the only way that you can eat meat that's haram is if there's nothing else to eat and you're about to die. So like if you're stranded in the desert, or may Allah protect us, if you ever like get in a plane crash and you're like in the mountains and there's nothing else there's nobody there, like so that you don't die, and the only thing that you have there with you is like bacon or ham, then you're allowed to eat it in that case. It would be halal for you to eat it so that you can survive. But that's an extreme case. That's an emergency situation. Yes, sir.
Like later, if you find food and stuff, do you have to throw that up?
That's a good question. The brother here asked, maybe we might need a scholar to answer. But yeah, you wouldn't be obligated to. No, you wouldn't be obligated.
What is the question?
But the question was, if you, like after that, you survive and you find halal food, do you have to throw that up? The answer is that you're not obligated to. But it would be good to, if he did, yeah. He said, let it be known that the first thing that rots from the human in the grave is his stomach. Hence, let the person suffice with vegetables and the slaughter from his own hand in a situation like this. And here, for example, in South Florida, it's harder than in a lot of other places. Like if you go to New York, or if you go to Philadelphia, if you go to California, you know, there's shawarma shops on every corner. You can get halal burgers, like you can get halal, you know, fast food easily. Here in Florida, it's a dire situation. It's a sad situation for the comfort food niche to get halal comfort food. So that's another, someone might say, $1 billion idea. If anyone wants to do the comfort food, the halal comfort food, they can make a lot of money. The author said, as for the fish, whichever way it reaches us, it is permissible, whether it is by way of the Majusi or the Christian or the Jew. The maytah of the fish is lawful. So as for fish, it doesn't have to be slaughtered. So you just can eat it. You can fish it out of the water, and you can, you know, kill it however you want and eat it right away. The second matter is the blood. And the second matter mentioned the ayah. Remember, there's 11 things that were mentioned in the ayah that are forbidden. The first one was maytah. We talked about that. The second thing that was mentioned is the blood. It is prohibited. Allah made it forbidden to eat, whether it was the blood of a slaughtered edible animal or the blood of other than that, and whether it was liquid or it became solid after it disconnected from its exit. Hence, the blood that comes out of the slaughtered animal and then it is made solid in a certain way, this is forbidden to eat. And that's making my stomach turn just reading that. In some places in Europe, they love that stuff. There's like canned blood. It's like blood in a can, and it's like Jello, and they eat it like that. Like they'll put it on their plate next to their, vegetables and stuff, and they eat it like a Jello. Subhanallah. That is haram, of course. They have become accustomed to this in Europe, and it is among the enormous sins. And it is forbidden to sell and to buy. And also, some people, what they do is they slaughter the cow, and then they put, like, because you know when you slaughter, usually the jugular veins are cut, so like the blood is like, it's like squirting out like a spring. It's like so, like a lot of blood coming out. And they put like a cup or a bowl, and then they drink it, subhanAllah. That's also forbidden. That's not permissible. The blood that Allah has made forbidden is the flowing blood. Allah revealed in Surah Al-An'am, قُلْ لَا أَجِدُ فِي مَا أُوحِيَ إِلَيَّ مُحَرَّمًا عَلَى طَاعِمٍ يَطْعَمُهُ إلا أن يكون ميتة أو دما مسفوحا. And here in this ayah, the flowing blood is specifically mentioned. دما مسفوحا. As for the blood that is not flowing, it is not permissible. It is not forbidden to eat. So the blood that's not flowing, it is not forbidden to eat. Hence, the liver and spleen are permissible to eat because they are not flowing blood. So the liver is basically blood, but it's not flowing, and it's like hard, solid. And the spleen, al-tihad, is permissible to eat because they are not flowing blood. So, and actually the liver is very good for you, the sheep liver. And it's actually a delicacy in some countries. They chop it up raw, and they put some salt, and they put some, what other seasonings they put with it, Hajj? They put cumin with the kebab? Oh, okay, I don't know what that is. Oh, the fat, okay. And they put some onions too with it?
Yeah, salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper, okay. And they just eat it raw like that. It is an acquired taste, but it's halal. Therefore, whoever eats the liver, raw or cooked or grilled, it is permissible to eat, and likewise the spleen, because Allah revealed, أَوْ دَمًا مَسْفُوحًا. He did not say, أَوْ غَيْرَ مَسْفُوح. It means other than flowing blood. And so this is an example of how, and in the Quran, when a specific wording is mentioned, and this is a proof, and you can deduce, for example, that since it was mentioned flowing specifically, that means what's excluded is not flowing. So that means not flowing is halal. But who are the ones that are allowed to make those deductions? The scholars, not us. Likewise, as for the blood that drips from the fresh meat and flows from it, this is not forbidden. Likewise, if the broth reddens from the fresh cut meat, it is not forbidden. What is forbidden is the flowing blood. So yeah, when you have nice fat tomahawk steak, you like it rare, you can eat it rare. Some people say that they only like their steak if it moves, and meaning barely cooked. So you can eat it like that. And if you put it in the pot and it still has some dripping red, it's not forbidden to eat that. What is forbidden is the flowing blood. The third matter, you mentioned the ayah, is pig meat. That is, it is forbidden to eat whether it was domesticated or wild. And pig meat is one of those things that Allah made forbidden in all the revealed laws. So in the laws of all the prophets, Allah judged that pig meat is haram. So no prophet ever came with a law saying that it's halal. Whether domesticated or wild, whether it was like a pig that they can keep inside the house, or whether it was a wild boar in the forest, it's haram to eat. The mayta, the flowing blood, the pig meat, and what was slaughtered to worship other than Allah were prohibited in all the revealed laws, and among them is the law revealed to Prophet Isa alayhi salam. And because the Christians, they claim that it's halal to eat pig, a'udhu billah, and they claim that it's halal to drink alcohol, a'udhu billah. They claim that about Jesus alayhi salam. And it's not true. The fourth matter is what was slaughtered to worship other than Allah, like to aggrandize the idols. Hence the thing that a name other than the name of Allah was mentioned when it was slaughtered, it is forbidden to eat. This is like what some idolaters do when they slaughter for their idols, and they mention the name of that idol out of aggrandizing it and worshipping it. Some Arab tribes used to have tawaghit. A taghut is a devil that comes upon the person and speaks on his tongue. During the ignorance era, they used to aggrandize this person because of the devil that comes upon him and speaks on his tongue. And they used to worship that devil because when he used to come upon the person, he used to tell them about some of the things that would happen in the future. He would tell them, this year such and such would occur. A plague will occur. A wildfire will occur. A drought will occur. And sometimes he used to say, so-and-so will have a child born to him, and so-and-so will die, and the like among the matters of the future. This devil does not know the unforeseen. Rather, he used to take the news from the angels, because the angels are righteous and accepted by God, and Allah lets them know about many of the things that will occur in the future. So this devil eavesdrops on the conversation of the angels amongst themselves, and then he used to descend and talk about it. However, he did not suffice with what he heard from the angels. Rather, he used to add to it plenty of lies, and so what he heard from the angels would occur, and the lies that he added to it would not occur. But the people who aggrandized them. Now, what is this talking about? Demons, devils, that they have a relationship with a person. That demon or devil, through a certain process, has an agreement with a human, and that devil or demon possesses that human, goes inside of him, or uses his tongue to speak. And some of the things that devil says on that human's tongue is regarding future events. And we see these people nowadays, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're on social media, they get on and they say 2025, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, there's going to be a lot of exposing, things going to be exposed. And you see that sometimes what they say, it sounds like they, let's say, were right about what they were talking about. How do you explain that? Easy. Every single year, on the night of Al-Qadr, and it's going to be coming up in Ramadan. On the night of Al-Qadr, that reveals to the angels what will happen on the earth until the next year. Who's going to die? Who's going to be born? Who's going to get sick? Who's going to get cured? Who's going to get rich? Who's going to get poor? Who's going to get this calamity? Who's going to get that calamity? Wildfires, droughts, plagues. Allah reveals all of that to the angels on Laylatul Qadr. Then those angels, when they are, let's say, around the heavens, like outside the first heaven, they're talking to each other about those things, saying this is going to happen, that's going to happen. So they're talking to each other. And so the devils, what do? They get close to try and hear, to try and eavesdrop on their conversation. So they might catch something from what they're saying, and then what do the devils do immediately? They fly down as fast as they can. And what do the angels do when that happens? They throw balls of fire at them. That's when you see what people will say, what they call that they see a shooting star, supposedly a shooting star. That's what it is. A ball of fire being thrown at that demon that tried to listen to the conversation of the angels, so he can go down to earth and he can tell some human about it, so that human can claim to the people that supposedly he knows the future, and supposedly he's psychic, and supposedly this and that. But what does that devil do? He seasons that, he adds lies to it. So that's why most of the time, those people that say this or that's going to happen, they cap a lot. And we've seen it before in the past where they said, 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar is going to be the end of the world. It's now 2025. They wish that the world ended in 2012 because their lives were so miserable. And then early in the 2000s, y'all, my young brothers and sisters might not remember this, but in 1999, there was actually some people who were scared that the world was going to end because of Y2K. I don't know if you remember that. Because of some computer thing. But it came and went, nothing happened. So nobody knows the unforeseen except Allah Ta'ala. And so those so-called psychics, they are wrong. But so basically, in the past, it was more common than now. But still, they do it now. So the people that have that relationship with that demon, what do? They sacrifice animals to it. So they'll slaughter a chicken to it, they'll slaughter a cow to it, they'll slaughter a sheep to it. In its name. Out of what? Worshipping it. Why? Because that demon supposedly is giving them that power and that information. So if they slaughter that animal out of worshipping that demon, this is haram to eat. And that's the thing that is mentioned in the ayah, وَمَا أُهِلَّ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ بِهِ. As for the prophets, the righteous Muslims, and the angels, God lets them know about some of the unforeseen because their selves are illuminated with piety. Hence, if they speak about some of the matters that will happen in the future, they are not sinful. So the one who slaughters for the devil is what is referred to in the verse, وَمَا أُهِلَّ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ بِهِ, and eating it is sinful. In the era of ignorance, they used to slaughter out of worshipping these devils, and likewise they used to slaughter to worship the idols. They had a big idol that they named Hubal, and an idol that they called Manat, and another called Al-Lat. They had one called Al-Uzza, and this was a female devil, a she-devil. Khalid, the son of Al-Walid, may Allah accept his deeds, he went to the tree from which her voice was there, from which her voice used to appear. He cut it, and it happened that this she-devil Al-Uzza was there, and so he killed her. Khalid ibn al-Walid, he killed the she-devil Al-Uzza because they used to speak from a certain tree. The mushrikun, they used to worship that tree and stuff. She had taken the shape of a human woman, that she-devil. He told her 2 lines of poetry, which means, O Uzza, I disbelieve in you and I do not glorify you. Indeed, I know God has degraded you. So, someone might say, Khalid ibn al-Walid, he dropped 2 bars on Al-Uzza and killed her. And in Arabic it's strong. In Arabic it's strong. Like that poetry, and the English is not doing it justice, but if you like heard it in Arabic, it's not written here. I never did memorize it. But it is strong, mashallah. There is a jinn, qareen, with each one of us, and his job is to whisper to the human, to entice him to commit sin, and to discourage him from doing good deeds and prayer. When the Muslim wants to get up and pray, he makes his head heavy. There's also other than those that attack women and hurt their bodies and kill their children by the will of God. One of them would be called Qarina. Allah revealed in Surah Maryam, أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّا أَرْسَلْنَا الشَّيَاطِينَ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ تَأُزُّهُمْ أَزًّا. Allah does what He wills. The meaning of تَأُزُّهُمْ أَزًّا is that the devils support them in doing sins and encourage them to sin. Surah Al-Zalzala and other than that is recited with the intention of removing the jinn out of the person who is inflicted with it. So, jinn possession and demon possession is not a pleasant thing, and it's not an easy thing, and it's not a game. If you know anyone that tries to play those games, like with the so-called Ouija boards and all that, stay away from that. It's something that could destroy your life. It's something that you don't ever want to happen. Also, be careful what you watch, like movies and stuff like that, because sometimes in those movies, they actually do the satanic ritual. They actually are saying the words that makes the shaitan, that demon, appear, or makes that demon like happy. So you should be careful. You don't want that playing inside your house because it'll make any certain demons happy. So be careful with that. Every slaughter that is slaughtered to worship other than God, it is forbidden for us, whether it was slaughtered to worship the jinn or it was slaughtered to other than them. The slaughter in the name of Jesus or in the name of the cross is forbidden for us to eat. If the Christian slaughters while he is silent, then his slaughter is permissible for us to eat, just as we already mentioned. The person who is being harmed by the jinn, and so he is inflicting pain on him, it is not permissible to slaughter for him with the intention to please him, so that he takes his harm away. And sometimes the person, he'll be being tortured by a jinn, and so that person thinks, if I slaughter an animal for this jinn, that jinn will leave me alone. This is not permissible to do. It is not permissible to do. When the person is going through hard time and calamities, he might commit sins. Hence, the one who was harmed by the jinn is obligated to submit to the predestining of God. Some jinn get hurt when hot water is poured. Fire burns them, even though their origin is from fire. Iblis was created from a flame of pure fire, and in the hereafter he will burn in hellfire. As for the angels, they are not like the jinn. They do not get hurt when hot water gets poured. So Jahannam, which has the greatest fire that Allah created, there are angels in it that are appointed, and the fire does not burn them. There is a large number of angels in hellfire. The heads of them are 19, and their leader is Malik. These 19 leaders have many angels under them. Some jinn, when they get hurt by the hot water, they try to harm the one who poured this water. So if they harm him, it is not permissible for him to resort to what God forbade to deflect their harm. Rather, he recites from the Quran or other dhikr with a correct intention to protect himself from their harm. And Allah Ta'ala knows best. That is the conclusion of part 1. Lesson 51 is going to be part 2. And inshallah, we'll do that next time. So the takeaway... No. So basically the jinn, they get hurt by fire and hot water. So if you pour hot water, let's say in a hole that was in the forest, you see a hole in the forest, and you pour some hot water in there, it might burn one of the jinn or might kill one of the jinn, and then they might kill you. Yani their family might kill you. Or their family might come after you. Or their family might hurt one of your children. Like what happened with one companion during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. What did he do? He found a hole already in the ground. And he didn't make the hole was already there. And he used the bathroom into that hole. He urinated into that hole. And it happened to be a jinn's nest. And he killed one of the jinn's babies or children. And so then all of a sudden, this person, he just drops dead. And then the people, the other Muslims that were there with him, they hear a voice, but they don't see anyone. They just hear the sound, the voice, saying, I am so-and-so and I killed him. And that's it. So then the Shaykh is basically saying, even though the jinn are made from fire, they're still hurt by fire. And the angels, they're not hurt by fire or by hot water. So the angels that are in charge of torturing the people in hellfire, they don't get affected by the heat of the hellfire. They're inside of it, but they don't get affected by it. So because they're different. The angels are built different. The jinn, though, even though they're made from fire, they do get hurt by fire, and they get hurt by hot things. Just like us, what are we made out of? We're made out of the soil of the earth. Yeah, soil and water, mixture of soil and water. But if, let's say like a brick made out of mud, if it hits you in the head hard enough, it's going to crack your skull. So even if you can be hurt, even if you can be buried, let's say, by soil, and you're going to die because of suffocation. So just because you're made from soil and water doesn't mean that those things can't hurt you. So that's what the point he was trying to make with the jinn. So basically he was saying, sometimes the person, he's getting hurt by a jinn, and that person thinks, if I slaughter this chicken for this jinn to make that jinn happy, he'll leave me alone. The Shaykh is saying this is haram to do. That if we're being bothered by the jinn or something's happening to us, we shouldn't resort to sin. We should say dhikr, recite Quran, try to find a remedy that is halal. Now, any others? Yes, please.
So, if someone is trying to slaughter anything, like a sheep, and like they don't have like a blade or something, they only have like an axe, and it's like really sharp, and they hit the neck, and it like slaughters just like how it's like a blade. Is it still halal?
Yes. So his question is, if somebody does not have a knife to slaughter with, they only have something like an axe. So instead of doing a slicing motion, right? They just do a hitting motion. So instead of doing a slicing motion, they do a striking motion, and that blade cuts the trachea and the esophagus. Is that a halal slaughter? The answer is yes. Because it was cut with a blade. Now, medication? No, I mean, I've never heard of that being one of the exceptions from a trustworthy Muslim doctor. So if that were to happen, it would only happen through that way. And a trustworthy Muslim doctor has to prescribe it, and it has to be the only way that they can get cured. For example, like with alcohol. Some scholars, they said, if a trustworthy Muslim doctor prescribes it and it's the only way that the person can be cured and he doesn't get drunk off of it, then he can use it as medicine. But for the blood, I've never heard that before. So definitely for sure, the person should stay away from that. No. Yes,
Is there anything in the sea that we cannot eat?
In the sea. And if it only lives in the water, it can only have a sustainable life in the water, then it's halal.
Because on the time of the slaughter, it can be separated the head.
if it's separated from the front. So like the blade cuts it from the front and it cuts it all the way through, this is halal. No. Someone asked, a convert lives in a possessed house. He's the only Muslim in the house. What should he do or say as he has been harmed when he was a child? Well, if they can leave, they should leave. First thing. Second thing, he should recite Al-Kursi, Ayatul Kursi in the four corners of the house. And he should walk through the house reciting Suratul Zalzala 7 times. And he should recite, and if he can, all of Suratul Baqarah. But if not, then he can recite the last 2 ayahs of Surah Al-Baqarah. For how many days? 7 days? 3 days? Yeah, 3 days in a row. And if he can't do any of that, he should just let the Quran play. And he doesn't have to be like super loud, but audible. And 24 hours in his room or in his house. He should burn frankincense also, and he should call the adhan out loud. But definitely for sure, the first thing he should do is leave, if it is actually the house has jinn problems, because that's not fun. Now? Adhan for?
5 times. How many times?
Oh, and even with outside of the prayer time, just as many times as he wants, adhan. Yeah, not for the prayer, but for the prayer it helps too.
How do the jinn harm you?
How do the jinn harm them? So the jinn, they have different ways that they can harm. Sometimes the jinn can harm you by looking at you, by giving you a certain look. But for sure, if they touch you, they can harm you for sure.
It shocks you?
Well, basically the person loses their mind. They become insane. And there's also like a very strong pain associated with the jinn harming you. It's a terrible, horrible thing. Something that you would never want to go through. It's like torture. May Allah protect us, Ameen. Why do most jinn do harm? Don't harm? Well, so the angels, Allah Ta'ala, He made certain angels to protect the human, like from the jinn and from other things, because if it wasn't for those angels, those jinn would wipe humans off the face of the earth. They would eliminate humans off the face of the earth, because they're invisible in their original form. So imagine that. And also like, their bodies are like the air. Their original bodies are like the air. So, they can come in through the keyhole or through like a crack in the wall, right? They can go into little small spaces. There's many things that they could do. If it wasn't for those angels, they would play with the human, or they would do with the human like how a little child plays with a ball. There's nothing you can do about it. So we're protected by the angels. And also when we do tahseen, and also when we stay away from filth, like feces and urine and blood, and when we stay clean and organized. Because what do the jinn like? What do the devils like? They like chaos. They like dirt. They like filth. And they like when the person is not on wudu and stuff like that. They like sins and they like bad things. So the more you stay away from those things, the harder it is for the jinn to affect you. And also, the more pious you are, the weaker that the shaitan is against you. But the more sins that you do, the stronger the shaitan is against you. When you're pious, the shaitan is scared of you. When you commit a lot of sins, the shaitan is not scared of you and he tries to harm you. So those things. Stay on wudu as much as you can. Stay clean. Yani organize, you clean your room, you declutter. Don't have like a lot of trash in your room, etc. Stay away from filth, of course. Make istinja properly. You know, stay away from things that are filthy, like alcohol. And besides the one that you drink, like some people, for some reason, they're obsessed with cologne. Like, there's so many other ways for you to smell good that you don't have to spray cologne on yourself. You're literally spraying filth on yourself. It's like saying, oh, devils, come to me. You don't want that. And then different things. Do a lot of dhikr, recite Quran, definitely do tahseen. After every obligatory prayer, recite al-Kursi, recite al-Falaq and al-Nas one time. That's all. Doesn't have to be like a million times. Al-Falaq and al-Nas one time after each prayer, before you talk. And that's very strong protection. And may Allah protect you all. Also, stay away from anger. When you get angry, like when you get that rage, it makes it easy for the shaitan to harm you. So, try to keep calm.